Hello, and welcome to the Hyrulean Chronicles, a podcast from the Play Talk Repeat crew where we review and go in depth on the story of the entire Legend of Zelda timeline. I'm Oliver, and I'm joined by Lewis and Alex.
Uh,
This episode, we've elected to go down the Fallen Hero timeline, starting with A Link to the Past, which was originally released in 1991 on the Super Nintendo. So I'm going to read out, as we always do, I'm going to read out the story between Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past. I'm looking down because I'm reading it off my phone, apologies. But so here we are. So the unthinkable has happened. Link has been defeated by Ganon, who, as a result, has gained all three parts of the Triforce. As a last resort, the Seven Sages, led by Princess Zelda, sealed Ganon inside the Sacred Realm, from this point on known as the Dark World. After a period of peace, the doorway to the Dark World reopens. This kicks off a period of time known as the Imprisoning War, where people fought to enter the Dark World to claim the Triforce for their own. No one returned from the Dark World. Instead, an army of Ganon's minions entered the Light World. This causes the King of Hyrule to once again call forth the Seven Sages to close the doorway. They succeeded, but the war cost Hyrule. The majority of their knights were lost, and Hyrule was left impoverished. So that was all before A Link to the Past even starts. Before Aghanim, how do you guys pronounce it? Aghanim.
Aghanim is what I was reading as.
Okay, Aghanim. Before all that, so opening statements time. So can I get a brief summary of what you thought about the game, as well as your rating, please? Alex, you go first.
Okay. I think that this game needs a proper remake, not like the one that was on 3DS, Link Between Worlds, because that's technically a sequel. I found it annoying having to change items every single time since there was only one item slot. I feel like a lot of them could have been like the Pegasus boots have been put onto like the A button, for example. I think they could have used like the L and R buttons for something. I don't think they were used at all. Like that could have been like the hook shot or something, or like another item slot. I thought the game was very good. Um, I don't think it's one of my favorite Zelda games. I think I preferred some of the other ones over it. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Lewis.
Um, I mean, all around, it's a good game. By today's standards, it's not great in a lot of aspects, but I mean, I can't overly fault the game for that. I think the game is fun enough. But I don't know, there's some boring parts to me, and there's some really jank parts of the game just due to the limitations of the console was on. Like Alex said, I think the game would benefit from a remake that had some quality of life stuff. Out of all the Zeldas we played so far, it's one of the ones I've enjoyed more. So I'd probably give it as like a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was fine as a Zelda game, but I just didn't find myself having an awful lot of fun with it. I don't know. I don't know if this is just fatigue because we have given ourselves the unenviable task of playing them all one after the other. But
Yeah.
I didn't find myself having a lot of fun with it at all. I think it's aged like more than the other ones we've played so far, kind of thing.
Mm.
So, so we're going to try and keep the same format we keep for all of these. We're going to ask the same
Well,
questions, all that kind of
is
stuff.
this the oldest one we've played so far?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
that'll be why.
So, graphically, what do we think of the game?
I like the
Um,
pixel art style.
yeah, I actually like this a lot more than I was expected to. Like, this is maybe a weird comparison to bring up, but everyone always talks about how well, in particular, they think Super Metroid has aged like graphically. I think Super Metroid in a lot of parts doesn't look great. I think it was kind of ugly. I like it a little. I like it in bits, but I don't think it's held up as well as a lot of people say. I'm a big fan of like pixel art graphics in games. And I think out of all the different styles of games that we can have, that art style and the way those games are made age the well in regards to how they look. But I was honestly really surprised with how good this actually looks now, especially on the Switch online thing. Um, like on like a big monitor stretched out, it honestly looked really really good, really clear and crisp. And I thought the colors actually popped really well. So I mean, I like graphically, I actually really liked it a lot more than I was expecting to.
Alex, anything to
Yeah.
add to that?
Yeah, yeah. Like as I was saying, I like the pixel art style of it. I like the environments. Like you can clearly, even though it's an SNES game, you can clearly see that it's like there's a world, like this, the lake, whatever. It's nice and colourful, especially in the light world. Pretty much it, really. Lewis said most of
Yeah, so it's
what I was
interesting
saying
because I
anyway.
disagree with a lot of things you both said there. Really, first of all, it's that Super Metroid thing that Lewis said was fucking nonsense. Super
No, it
Metroid looks
wasn't.
so much better than this. It really,
It
really,
doesn't.
really
I
does.
really don't think it does though.
It does. It looks beautiful. Like the boss designs and even like Samus herself look amazing.
Like Super Metroid to me, a
Super
lot of the
Metroid is
colors,
really dark.
a lot of the
It
colors in
is.
Super Metroid are just really like horrible looking. I don't like the way it looks.
That's interesting. But
Like-
you both said the colours pop in this, and I think
they
it
do.
looks bleak. I think it looks
Really?
I think it looks quite bleak. Like the thing is, we've come off the back of playing like the Minish Cap and thing like that, and the Minish Cap is colourful. It's got really nice colours, and this to me seems quite. I don't know if it's just because it's got like a limited colour palette because it's on the SNES.
Well, yeah, because it'll be because of the bits, won't it?
Yeah,
Because, like,
because of the
whatever.
bits getting technical.
Yeah.
But like I thought it looked quite. Obviously, the Dark World did what the Dark World was supposed to. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I just thought even the Light World looked quite bleak. I also did not like the design of Link in this game. I know it's
I
the.
don't like the pink
Yeah,
bandana he's got on.
Yeah, I don't understand it because I don't understand the pink at all because we've seen art the the actual art they made of Link and he doesn't have a pink part of his hat. But
Makes no sense.
I know they were like this was the first 16-bit Zelda, so they're still getting to grips with what they actually wanted Zelda to, Link to look like.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's not for me. I think they perfected 2D Zelda with like the Minish Cap kind of style. Personally.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's more suited
I mean,
to.
yeah, if we're discussing what I think look visually better, I'd Minish Cap every day of the week. But I mean, that's a GBA game, so I'm not overly surprised that looks miles better. I just think this holds up relatively well to a lot of the other SNES games I've played. I just think it looks quite nice.
Yeah, I get you.
Especially
it's not
in the
it's
light
not better
world.
looking than Super Metroid though. That's just fucking bullshit. That's nonsense. So do we have any glaring issues with the game? What is your biggest issue with it?
Link opens his mouth when he's swimming, like Pac-Man. No, that isn't an issue. Glaring issues for me. I'll try and be brief, and I may go back to it because I want other people to speak, but I think the dungeons overall are quite boring. I think a lot of them play the same, and a lot of them I enjoy the dungeons the most when it was you go into a room, you solve the puzzle in that room, you go up like forward, you go up, down, left, or right. It's another room, new puzzle. A lot of them ended up turning into these massive mazes full of like, oh, which door do you go in first? You go this way, that way, up, down, and I started really disliking them when that happened. So I'd say that's my issue. I think the game's designed really well. Especially with the light and dark world stuff, the way they must have had to build that is like actually really, really impressive.
Yeah.
But I think the way the dungeons are designed and stuff, they just get very boring, and none of them are particularly memorable to me, like at all. Like if I'm being really, really honest.
No,
So that's sort of my big issue.
I completely agree with that. Of all the games we've played so far, these were the worst dungeons. Definitely, without a doubt.
I agree as well.
For me, the biggest issue I had was it's been prevalent in Minish Cap and basically any 2D Zelda game that I've played. It was quite good in like holding your hand in when it gave you an order in which to do the dungeons, but sometimes in order to access a certain dungeon you needed an item, and that one NPC would tell you about the item. So it's sometimes you are wondering. The thing is, what I'm talking about here is kind of bullshit because I used a guide for the entire thing. But I imagine if that guy didn't tell me to go to this certain place to pick up this book, I would never have gone there.
Yeah, so I want to clarify as well. I did use a guide for a lot of things. It was built during the era of games.
You were calling me guide boy.
Yeah, you are guide boy.
Hours ago.
At what point did I say I didn't use a guide? Literally never. I never said that.
Sounds like your guide boy.
I just call you guide boy because this was built during the time where games needed a guide. Like fuck you if you want to play this game without one. I can guarantee if you want to 100% it, you look some shit up. You didn't do this raw. You didn't. I'm sorry.
Alex played the majority of this on a plane.
Yeah, but Alex is wrong. But anyway, what you said a second ago about you have to speak to a specific NPC to like know that you have an item. A lot of the time, those characters or those signs were hidden in the first place. In like you had to open up the way to get to them or find out how to get to them first, to then get the secret and how to get into the fucking tower dungeon or what item you needed. And I found that just to be really stupidly designed.
Yeah.
Because if the thing that's meant to help you, why are you hiding that away and making that difficult to find? Like it just doesn't.
It's showing its age
sense.
in the same. It's exactly the same as Zelda 1, where it's Miyamoto wanting you to explore.
Yes.
He wants you to spend hours and
Yes.
hours and hours in this
Yeah.
game. And I imagine when you're a kid playing Link to the Past for the first time back in
Yeah.
1993, it's really fun searching stuff. But we're in the year of 2022. You know what I mean? Where man hasn't got time to be doing that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. The entire time I was playing it, I was like, if I wanted to and wanted to spend 15 hours just doing everything by myself, I could have. I just didn't want to. The game didn't make me want to do that, and personally, I was just like, I don't want to waste my time doing all that. Like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose to use a guide. I feel like you just have to for those sort of games. Usually,
It is worth noting as well, we are playing these up against a deadline. Like, I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but the reason we're doing the Hyrulean Chronicles is because Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out at some point in the future, and we are trying to get all of these done before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. It's proving very difficult, but the reason that we're using guides when we need to is because we actually need to. We're so up against the clock on this.
Yeah.
So we just want to get them all done, get all the story done before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out.
And I will say this real quick as well before Alex speaks on it. I did try to keep the game like because a lot of people will say if you use a guide it ruins it, which I agree in some aspects because at that point you're basically not playing the game, you're just reading it and you're just sort of playing it twice. For the dungeons, for the most part didn't use a guide when I was in the dungeons. I tried to do that basically just by myself to give me something to do. Because basically when I was outside of the dungeons, it was where do I go next? How do I get this? How do I get that? But yeah, I just wanted to specify that.
Yeah, there's certain games in the series that I won't use a guide for, like A Link Between Worlds, A Link's Awakening, Twilight Princess. I won't use a guide for it because you don't need to.
They designed it a way where you don't need to. Yeah,
exactly. Sorry, Alex, speak.
Okay, so I played half of this game on a plane, and what Oliver was saying about speaking to a specific NPC. I had a lot of trouble on the plane. I think I was looking around for like 20 minutes, like trying to find this one NPC, and I think it was the woman in the house was like, Sahasrara is somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Who the fuck is he? Have you got a picture of him that you can give me?
I'm so glad you said that name because I don't know how to pronounce it.
It was like Sahasrara.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, thinking. So I just ended up just walking around and I ended up finding him in the Eastern Palace, I think it's called. That was really annoying. That wasted a lot of my time. I feel like I could have got more done on the plane if that wasn't like an issue that I had. I forgot what my main issue was. Oh, I've remembered now. Couldn't get to speak for ages. The Dark World and Light World portals. I hate the fact you couldn't use the mirror to just go between each one, just as like whatever you had to go back through a specific portal, which really annoyed me for some puzzles because I would just lose the portal and I couldn't get back over there, so I'd have to find another portal that was like in like the forest or whatever in the top left corner. Yeah.
I always went bottom left corner every single time. Every single time.
Yeah, but sometimes you couldn't. Because you needed to be in the top left corner because a boulder was blocking the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you needed, and then you needed the mittens.
Yeah.
Which was stumping me on the plane. I think it was the plane I was on. At one point, I was stuck and I couldn't figure out what to do because the boulder was in the way and I couldn't lift it. So I ended up just walking around for ages. Then I was like, there has to be another portal somewhere. Yeah. So then I ended up finding it.
Well, that's the issue. Again, a lot, especially combined with the Dark World stuff, is it really wants you to know where everything is when you're playing it. Otherwise, it's literally just a guessing game. I'm gonna stand in this spot, use this item, press this. Will it happen? Will it not? And I need a guide for stuff like that because, like I said, I just don't have the time to waste on. I can't I can't be bothered spending hours at a time when I could like spend 10 minutes, like just
Yeah.
following a guide and getting it done. And I
The
do
map
feel
was
like
shit as well.
the map was the map ended up being a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be as well.
Yeah.
Like
Like
it was.
it would have been nice if like you unlocked, you know, like the little spots to like go to the dark world if they appeared on your map.
Yeah.
'Cause then I wouldn't have to remember where each one was.
Yeah.
That would have just been like a nice little touch.
I will say it was a game changer once you got fast travel with the
Oh
bird.
yeah, it was.
Like I
Can't
started
use
enjoying
bird
the
in the
game.
dark world though.
I started enjoying the game way
That
more.
annoyed me.
To be
why
fair, I understood why they did that, because you unlock the bit like the dark world
Yes.
bit by bit. So if you
Yeah.
like, yeah,
No,
so
I know that.
that might have fucked it a little bit. It was annoying, I will agree, but that's probably why they did it.
Yeah.
Are there any more thoughts on gameplay before we move on to the story of the game?
Alex mentioned at the beginning, I disliked the whole item management. I got used to it as the game went on, and again, it's just because it was a product of its time. I can't be mad at the game for like having to deal with it the way it did, but it was very aggravating, especially in the first like couple hours of the game. Getting used to going to the menu, selecting the item, constantly getting stuck on my fucking pots, because when you get to your pot, it scrolls through all your pots before then proceeding to go left or right, and I was like, why the fuck aren't you moving? Go
so
left
annoying.
or right. So that was obviously a bit annoying, but again, product of its time thing. Outside of that, I think the gameplay was relatively fine. The combat was fun enough. Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, it's fun enough for a game where you swing your sword for the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll move on to the actual story of the game. So from this point on, there are spoilers for our Link to the Past. There will be timestamps down below if you want to skip the story of the game. So, Hyrule is plagued by many misfortunes, and the king reaches out to find someone who can help. The dark wizard Aghanim answers the call and puts an end to the many disasters. The king then makes Aghanim his chief advisor and priest, believing Aghanim to be the second coming of the Seven Sages. Aghanim uses his influence to brainwash all the soldiers of Hyrule, dispose of the king, and send 6 of the 7 maidens, who are descendants of the Seven Sages, into the Dark World in order to break the seal on Ganon and unleash him back into the Light World. Zelda, the last maiden, reaches out telepathically to Link. Link awakens to find his uncle leaving the house with his sword and shield. Following the message from Zelda, Link follows his uncle through a secret entrance into Hyrule Castle. He finds his uncle close to death, who then bequeaths the sword and shield to Link so he can answer Zelda's call. Link storms the castle and rescues Zelda, taking her to the sanctuary. Link then seeks out the village elder of Kakariko, Sahasrahla. The elder informs Link that he must have the Master Sword in order to defeat Aghanim, and he must collect 3 pendants of virtue in order to be able to find the sword. Standard Zelda stuff, Link collects pendants, Link gets Master Sword. But wait, once he has the sword, Aghanim kidnaps Zelda and takes her to the Dark World. He also drags Link with him, but Link can freely travel back and forth between the Light and Dark World with the Magic Mirror. It's time to rescue these maidens, so Link must rescue each maiden from a dungeon in the Dark World, blah blah blah, standard Zelda stuff. Link defeats Aghanim and finds it's just Ganon's alter ego, which kind of like for me this kind of flies in the face of Ganon needing to break out the Dark World because he was already in the Light World.
Yeah, he was already in the Light World.
Aghanim.
Well, it's because he was building his power in the Dark World, because that's the only place he could do it, which I get. But yeah, it was.
It does seem a bit strange to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Link defeats Ganon once again and wishes upon the Triforce that Hyrule returns to peace. The king and the Link's uncle are resurrected, and the Triforce once again rests in the hands of the Hyrule royal family. So this Triforce, it only ever gets wished on. It gets wished for power or peace. No one ever wishes for like money or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, must get like if the Triforce was personified, I'd get real fucking bored.
I mean, literally, I don't know why not in the other games, but in this game in particular, when I was explaining the Triforce, I was just like, damn, that's like a really it's just a flawed piece of kit. Because it's literally they say, if you're a good person, you'll wish for a good thing, but if you're a bad person and get it, you'll just wish for a bad thing. It's like, why do you design it that way?
Yeah.
Just don't let bad people wish for anything bad. It just seems kind of stupid. It just seems faulty. I don't know.
It's the whole benevolent gods thing. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true,
let
that's
bastards
true.
be bastards kind of thing. So, what did we think of the story?
I mean,
It's definitely a Zelda game.
After playing like 5 in a row, Zelda's story in general is relatively mediocre. The story is kind of it's not a fantastic story. It's not bad, but it's just very safe and very, very simple. None of the games as of yet have tried to do anything like too out there, and they've all pretty much followed the exact same plot for the most part. Skyward Sword has probably been the most exciting one story-wise, just because it was something different. It was an origin at least, yeah. But yeah, the story's like the same as all of them. It's fine, I guess. I'm probably gonna like it less and less as these games go on.
Legitimately.
But yeah, it's fine, I guess. It's alright. Average Zelda
Very
story.
mediocre.
Yeah.
Like halfway through the game, I was just thinking, like, who the fuck even is Aghanim?
Well, honestly,
Like,
legit,
I was
mate.
just
legit.
yeah.
Yeah, they
I
didn't
was
build
like,
him up
who the
or hype
fuck
him
even
up
is this
at
guy?
all. Yeah.
He's just shown up.
Yeah, obviously that doesn't matter because it was just Ganon anyway, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
literally. But I was just like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
like for me, like the best parts about the story now for me are it comes from the fact that we're playing them one after the other. Is that you
Yeah.
do see the links between the games, whether they were like just written in retroactively or not,
Yeah.
which they definitely were. But like, if you like forget all that, forget that the fact that they're written in retroactively, you see the links between the game. Like
Yeah.
you see, like the introduction of the Dark World in this is great, and you know, like from the past games, how the Dark World came to be and why it's in such a state. It's because Ganon's a bastard. But yeah, Aghanim's given very little screen time. He's supposed to be the main villain. Like in Twilight Princess, Zan is obviously the puppet of Ganon as well. But he's given so much more screen time, and you know he's the threat. Aghanim is just
Yeah, Aghanim was never a threat, especially
No.
since you beat him the first time you fight him
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. It's just the old using the final boss as the big
Yeah.
boss kind of thing. It's really annoying. But yeah, it was fine for the time. Again, it was fine. It was fine.
Well,
for
yeah,
game.
I want to say at the time, one of the things it did good is that the only games that really had stories around that time were RPGs and JRPGs. And this was like labeled as like an action game. So it was one of the games that weren't RPGs that actually had a story. So at the time, it was probably like a way bigger deal. Obviously, right now it's garbage, but back then I can understand why it will have been a big deal, especially. So that's cool at least. It did something big for the time, I suppose.
Yeah, I imagine like this would have absolutely blown my fucking socks off if I ever played it back in the. I had an SNES, but I was a Mario kid. I never even bothered with Zelda games. But I imagine it was
Crazy.
a great time. So this is probably going to be the hardest that this has ever been. But favorite and least favorite dungeon.
I'm just looking through.
Are we doing
now,
bosses
just so I know the
separately?
names.
Yeah, we're doing bosses. We're doing bosses separately. Yeah. So I'll go first because I've got my answers ready here. So unfortunately, all the dungeons are forgettable. They're all forgettable. But my favorite was Ganon's Fortress because I liked like the little boss rush kind of thing, like the little gauntlet you do. It was completely just fine. My least favorite was Turtle Rock, and I've got a feeling Alex shares this opinion. It might not do though. The Turtle Rock, the whole creating platforms that you move around on. It sounds great in principle, but it's so annoying. It's just the most irritating thing to get through because in one room you've got to control the little platform on different paths, but because the screen's so small, you don't know which path you're going on. You're just going round and round in circles until eventually you get it.
I got a little bit stuck on that because all the ones prior you couldn't move it yourself, but then on that one in that room, it started letting you move it wherever you wanted to move it, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Really, it was just a very irritating dungeon, in my opinion.
For me, I don't know. For starters, Ganon's dungeon I thought was way too long.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was way too long. It just kept going. I don't know if I just played it bad, but it definitely felt way longer than any of the others. Which, to be fair, it's the big final like dungeon, so like fair play. But for me, I just felt like it just kept dragging.
Did you fully upgrade your sword?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's level 4, the last one you get, isn't it? I believe. Yeah. All the bosses go down really quickly. Like for me, it was the fact that you could see how strong Link had gotten.
Yeah, I did like that about it. Yeah, you did actually feel a sense of progression in terms of your kit. Like you did get really like strong by the end of it. Which can't really be said a lot in the other games. In the other games, it don't really feel like you get that much stronger as the game. You get more health, but that's usually about it. But yeah, you can upgrade a bunch of your stuff in this, so it actually felt quite cool. Have you got yours, Alex? Because I'm still looking, honestly.
I'm still looking as well. I can't find one that I particularly enjoyed more than the rest. They all was pretty equally bad.
Well,
Um,
that is a valid opinion to have.
Oh, okay. I could tell you my least favorite one.
Yeah.
Go on, you
And it's
go first
annoying because
then.
it has positives to it, but the Skull Woods was my least favorite because you had to keep going out back into the actual world and falling down those pits, and I was like, nah,
That annoyed the
I
shit
just
out of me. It didn't
I
feel
didn't
like a
enjoy
dungeon.
it at all. Yeah, I hated it.
Like when I first got there, I can't remember why, but I didn't have access to the guide at the time. I thought, "Where's the dungeon?"
yeah.
This is Duskull Woods.
Like, I just thought it was laid out really badly. And even opening that dungeon in Skull Woods, again, I don't get how you'd figure that out without a guide, because it wants you to, like, burn the nose of that thing, and then
Yeah.
it's just, like, it's just really, really weird. Honestly, my favorite one was probably one of the first two, like the Eastern Palace or the Desert Palace. Just because, like I said, that's when, to me, it was the most enjoyable, when it was simple, when it was you go into a room, solve the puzzle, next room, solve the puzzle. And I just felt as the game went on, it was just becoming a maze and having to run back and forth, or having to like do stuff in a very specific way in each of these rooms, or making sure that one of those colored switches was on one floor so that on another floor, like it just all got a bit too just long and a bit too annoying for me.
Yeah, what annoys me a lot about these dungeons is that they're required to use items from other dungeons
Yes,
in order to
yeah,
do them.
It's not the item you get from the dungeon. It's
no,
everything else.
never,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, and that for me is that's not a good like Zelda dungeon. Zelda dungeon should use one item that you get from the mid boss all over the dungeon, so you
Yeah.
master that item. It feels really really useful, and then you move on to another dungeon and get another one. Fair enough,
Yeah,
the final dungeon should use everything, but the other one shouldn't.
Well, yeah, because you'd never
Yeah.
usually get. I mean, a lot of the time, anyway, you'd never get the item until towards the end of the dungeon, anyway. So yeah, I do get that. It did feel weird from other Zelda stuff. Um, but yeah, one of those two is my favorite, and the Woods one was by far my least favorite. It was just a bit garbage, to be honest.
I've got mine.
Go on.
So my least favorite was probably the Ice Palace.
Yeah.
Because
The
ice physics are
terrible.
fucking awful. And
Yeah.
also, I hate puzzles like this where it's one switch up, one switch down, and that's pretty much the entire dungeon. And there's one part where you have to push a certain ice block off a ledge.
Yep.
I think I spent about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even longer, just figuring out what to do with this because I was pushing it. You go down like these set of stairs or whatever, and you have to push a thing to open a door or like summon enemies or whatever. But it wasn't going onto the switch, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then I think I looked this one up because I could not figure it out because I was looking for so long. And then I had to push this one certain block, not the other one. So you had to make sure the switches were up at a certain point and then go through the dungeon and then hit a certain switch to make it so you could push this block down. I don't find stuff like that fun. Just why include it?
Yeah.
Bollocks.
There's a part in the Ice Palace as well where you got to walk down some stairs, and it like Link just wouldn't do it. I thought the game was bugged because of the ice physics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the ice. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of the first couple
You gotta
rooms.
fight against it.
Yeah, one of the first couple rooms. I legit tried going down those stairs, and I thought I wasn't allowed, so I walked off, and then went back and was like, "Oh, it was just resisting too hard, I guess." Yeah, the ice physics are terrible. I hate them.
I'm trying to think of my favorite one. Maybe the Tower of Hera. Just a massive skyscraper. I like that.
Okay.
It's decent. That's probably the best out of a bad bunch.
Yeah, they really were just boring dungeons. They weren't good.
So moving on to favorite and least favorite items. So I'll go first again because I've already got them. So my favorite is the hookshot, and I've got to give the hookshot a shout out here because this was the first Zelda game in release order that had the hookshot in it, and the hookshot's great in every game. You gotta love grappling hooks. Grappling hooks are just good times. And it just allowed like freedom of movement kind of thing. It just gets you across gaps. It makes you feel like you can go anywhere kind of thing. Least favorite was the bug catching net. Why can't I just
didn't use it once?
Why can't I just pick up Farah's my bottle?
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Just why? Like, you can pick up fairies with a bottle every other game. Why can't I do it in this one?
Yeah, I legit didn't use the
strange.
bug catcher a single time throughout the entire
Did you not
game.
use any fairies?
I didn't catch them to use later. If I needed help, I just ran into them.
My guy, I had all 4 of my balls were full of fairies at all times.
The only time I had to use heals in like an actual thing, and to be fair, actually, I will say this may be due to the way I was playing it because it's on Switch Online. I was making use a lot of the rewind feature.
Yeah.
But there was a bunch of times where I got hit and I was like, nope, not fair. I've rewinded that shit. Or I'd fall down a hole, but nope, don't count.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with some SNES games, like the rewind feature is so helpful.
It's so helpful, yeah.
Because
Like
you would have to backtrack and do so much more.
This is one thing I did. So, like the bosses, for example, I wouldn't rewind in the bosses, but I'd always make a save state at the start of the bosses because when I died, I didn't want to have to fucking do all that again.
I didn't want to refill my health. I didn't want to walk all the way back to the top. I just made a save state. It's just so much quicker.
And it's very good.
Saves so much time.
It's very good praise to the Switch Online because it really does make a lot of those SNES games that are a chore to play like just a lot more enjoyable. Honestly, I probably enjoyed the game more because of that feature. If I was playing this on the original hardware or a version where I couldn't rewind it, I probably would have had a way worse time with this game, like legitimately. But I suppose I'll get to my item. My favorite item, not that I used it a bunch, but I used it a couple times, and when I did, I just thought it was kind of fun, was the magic cape. Because I didn't realize for ages that it just made you invincible. I thought it just made you invisible, not invincible also. So I just started having fun with that because you could just sort of blast through multiple rooms or like long patches of stuff with enemies.
Walk on spikes.
Yeah, and I just found that very, very fun, and I thought that was quite an item that I don't think we see in Zelda ever off the top of my head that I don't remember. No. So I thought that was quite fun. Honestly, I probably have to agree with all of them. My least favorite was the bug catching net, just because I didn't use it a single time. I tried to use it right at the start to catch a bee, realized I couldn't catch the bee, and then was like, "Well,
you can catch a bee.
You can catch one bee. You can catch one bee.
Oh, one specific bee.
Yeah, but you keep in a bottle, and then when you can let it out, and it helps you. I can't remember what. I think it's called a good bee or something like that, and it helps you out and like kind of stings other people and stuff. I got rid of it fairly quickly because I wanted the fairies.
Yeah, I didn't use that, and I'll give a quick shout out to just kind of how garbage they were because I didn't use them. The medallions felt really, really just wasted.
I fucking loved the medallions.
I thought they were quite wasted. The only time you had to use them was to open up the thing, and like there was like one room in a dungeon where you literally just had to do it because you couldn't access everything. Outside of that, I never saw myself using it just because I didn't have to, and it was too much effort to switch around on my shit. Like I just couldn't be bothered.
Do you remember the ice boss?
Do
you remember the ice boss? So if you used a medallion as soon as you walked into that room, you got rid of his armor in one shot.
Oh really?
Yeah, it made it so much easier.
I mean, it would have made it. Yeah, I'm like, some of it's probably on my part. It's just I felt like there was literally no parts where the game forced you or encouraged you to use it. Really, it was
for clearing rooms. That's all it was. It was for clearing.
Yeah, and admittedly, well, I was gonna say actually they're quite secret, but you need them to open the dungeons. So yeah, I guess you do need them.
Okay, my favorite items. I really liked the fire rod. I thought it was very, very good for like long range attacks rather than using your sword all the time. Really helpful against the ice boss because it just melts away his ice. Because I didn't realize you could use the medallion in there. And it's just a better lamp. So I just fucked the lamp off and just used the fire rod every time I needed to light stuff. I'll be different. I won't pick the bug catching net. Kana Samaria for my least favorite because all it did was make blocks.
It did make blocks and it ended.
It did make blocks.
Yeah, that's all it did.
Yeah, that's all it did.
The thing is,
it's okay, I guess.
I'll argue this. The only thing is, out of those two rods or whatever the canes, I liked the
Cane of burner.
I disliked the burner one. More than
it just drained your magic.
Yeah, because at least I used that Samaria one in the classical dungeons. The other one, I got it and then didn't get it out a single time. I used it once to see what it did and was like, oh, okay, it just eats my mana like a bitch. And then
rewind.
Yeah, and then that was sort of it. It was just a bit of a pointless item.
It's worth noting that the Cane of Samaria, if you do 2 dungeons out of order, So I think it might be the 5th and the 6th dungeon. I can't remember. But if you do them out of order, if you do the 6th dungeon before the 5th dungeon, you can cut out half the dungeon.
Really?
Really?
But you
Oh,
can't.
you can make a platform.
So you can make so in the 5th dungeon there is a button. That,
Oh
opens,
yes, you can
opens
put
the door.
buttons.
So you can put a block and a button and cut out half the dungeon. But I didn't do that. I do it in the correct order.
He told me about that block that I needed to push off.
I think it's when you have to push from the ceiling to the lower floor.
It's that one.
Yeah.
The one
That
that I was on about.
Yeah.
It's that
Fucking
one.
hell. That would have been helpful.
Cuts out because you can do those two in any order, but it gives you an order to do them in, which is the wrong order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nice one.
Yeah. So
cheers, Nintendo.
You pieces of shit.
So moving on, least favorite boss. So I know.
These were garbage as well.
So I'll go first. Well, Helmasaur King was pretty cool. Having to bash
I don't know the names of the bosses.
It was like it's basically a big dinosaur with a big helmet on. It was one of those.
Yeah, I could see it.
The dinosaur with the
boss.
mask.
Yeah, so he's bashing him on the noggin with a big hammer was pretty fun, I guess. I also kind of like Trinex, which was the Turtle Rock boss.
Yep.
We had to attack him with the different rods. That was fun. That was the only redeeming factor of Turtle Rock. My least favorite.
The only thing I'd say with the Dark Palace bosses, it was annoying trying to get close to him to hit the hammer and then backing off, hitting him with the hammer, backing off, because you'd always get hit.
Oh, you just hit him with a hammer and make a save state. That's how I did it. So
you cheated?
Yeah, I cheated.
Didn't make a save state at the start.
I didn't.
Terrible.
I didn't use the hammer. I threw bombs at him.
Yeah, you can do.
I didn't know you could use the hammer.
I didn't know you could use bombs.
So the hammer it takes more hits, but it takes less time overall because you've got.
It made sense in my head to hit the skull with a hammer.
Yeah.
For some reason,
rather
than throw a bomb at it.
Both work fine and are perfectly fine strategies. My least favorite was Moldorm. Fuck that guy. I think it is. It's just a big blobby guy that knocks you off, essentially.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first boss that I use.
Circles.
Yeah, this is the first boss that I use save states on, because if you got knocked off, you went down to the floor below and had to climb back up, and the boss fight started again. So fuck that, save states all the way.
Go on, Lewis.
For me, it's a bit boring because the same as Oliver. I just really like the look of Helmasaur King and Trinex. I preferred Trinex more, mainly because I felt like it was the only boss in the game that offered up somewhat like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Whereas you have to actually use your items and do something here. I found that.
Which one's Trinex?
The one where he's got an ice head and a fire head. And he's just
Turtle Rock boss.
Yeah.
And then when you defeat him, you think it's over, but it's not over. And then he comes at you, and you have to hit his big ball. It's good. It was one of the only bosses in the game. I'm like, this feels like a boss. My least favorite boss, and I'm gonna butcher this, was either Argus, which was just that eye, the red floaty eye that had the you had the hook shot to pull the thing off it.
That was good.
Or the
three of these bosses are eyes.
Or the Mothula, because it was the easiest boss I've ever played. I just ran up to it, smacked it a couple times, and then it just died. It was not a boss, especially not a boss at the end of a dungeon. It was just really garbage. And Vitreous, it was just the same. It was just the same as the fucking the red eyeball one, except the bosses are just shit. They're just ass. They're not good bosses. Very, very boring bosses. But yeah, Trinex number 1. Eyeballs 0. Bottom 2.
So Aghanim, to his credit, was all right because it was the whole reflecting the right projectile back. Sorry, Alex. Apologies, but he just Lewis saying they're all shit. Apologies. So go on. So you say what you're saying.
Okay, I did like the Turtle Rock boss. What's it called again? T-Rex. Trinex. My favorite boss was Aghanim. Aghanim was my favorite boss, Oliver. You don't let me get to speak.
Aghanim 1.
Say your words.
Aghanim 1 or Aghanim 2?
Aghanim 1.
The same one.
Nah, Aghanim 2 had 3 of them hitting you at once. So Aghanim 1 only had 1.
Yeah, that was annoying having 3 of him. I liked it where it was just the one.
Well, I felt that actually offered up some challenge at least when he split into 3.
Yeah, but It's just too annoying.
Also, in his first one, was there any tell for if he was going to do his electric attack or his other attack? Because I just tanked it
Nope.
face every time because I was like, I hope he
I
does
just stood far enough away from him where it didn't matter.
the...
If he stood in the center of the screen, that's when he was doing his massive one.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, my least favorite boss was probably the first one in the Eastern Powers because it was just 6 knights just spinning in a circle. What the
Oh,
fuck's
yeah.
that?
I was
Fuck's
shocked
that
when that.
about?
I was shocked when that was the boss. I didn't think that was actually the boss.
I didn't think it was the boss. I was like, oh, this is like
Yeah.
another mini boss or something. Then I got the pendant, and I was like, oh, it's the end.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was a bit
cool.
disappointing.
Yeah. The reason I brought up Aghanim, sorry, Alex, apologies. We can
It's all
do a
right.
sidebar and
Go
talk about it if you want.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
So the reason I brought it up is because it's just this thing that seems to be quite a pattern in Zelda games at the moment. The ones that we played, they keep bringing
tennis.
back. No, well that as well, but they fucking keep putting the final
Yeah,
boss
they keep
too early in
repeating
the
the
game,
boss,
repeating the
yeah.
boss again. It's
It
not.
does ruin it.
It's daft. It takes away the threat of the boss, and it's just not good. It's just not good. Like if you want to build up the boss, put in a cutscene. You
No,
know what I mean? Or have him appear.
it absolutely ruins it having the boss that's meant to be a big bad be like your second boss and you just kill him really easily. And
Or
then
if you're gonna
just
do
like,
that, change the
yeah.
fight for
Yeah,
the
not
final
just have the
fight
same
rather
fight
than
again.
do the exact same fight like with.
Or
Yeah, but also just makes
have it so you die. You know, you get
No,
You
but
lose.
I think it's worse in this game in particular because obviously Aghanim was just Ganon, but disguised. So you just beat Ganon straight
Yeah.
away. Like
Yeah.
at the start, it's just not. It's just dumb. They need to stop doing it. Like
Do you
all the time.
lose? I can't remember now. It's been like a year since I played Skyward Sword. Do you lose the first Girahim fight?
I don't.
You smack.
You smack him, don't you?
You smack him for a bit, and then he gets angry that you hit him, and he's like, "You're a piece of shit. I'm gonna go though."
Oh right,
Like
okay.
that.
I thought you lost to him, but
No.
probably just that it's been a year
He's just
already.
acting cocky, and then after a bit, he's like, "I've had fun playing with you, but in a bit, mate," and then just leaves.
Yeah. Okay.
Legit. So I think we've already answered this question. But do we think the game deserves another remake?
Yes.
I think if they remade it with a bunch of quality of life, like if it was just a remake where it plays like they don't change the controls or anything, it just looks better, then no. If they were to overhaul the way the controls work, then yes. Because I think it would be way more enjoyable if they changed it up. It wouldn't fix any of the bosses or anything, or the way the world's designed. Like it's still just going to be a bit boring. But I think it'd be a lot less of a slog to play, if you changed all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the easiest win for Nintendo. Like if they were going to remake any of them, like they did with Link's Awakening.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
This one is the easiest win.
Everyone will buy it.
Everyone will buy it. Everyone loves Link to the Past.
Well, there's so many people who consider it the best game of all time, A Link to the Past, isn't there? So...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it, like I say, quality of life. It would make the bosses look more interesting at least.
Yeah, it would look better.
Yeah. Imagine Trirex in like
exactly
Link's Awakening style. Would look nice.
Yeah, even if they like use the same engine, it'll be complete. I don't think they would because like Link's Awakening was like built like the way it looks because it's like all a dream and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in the same kind of engine, perfectly fine. Everyone would buy it. Easy win. Easy.
Yeah.
All right. So Lewis wants to rank what we've played so far.
I do. Well, because after discussing this, I had it ranked in my head before we played this, but it's changed now a little bit.
After discussing it.
Yeah. So I'm just interested.
Oh, really quick. I want to talk about the final boss for a quick second.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you had to get the silver arrows, so I was trying to fight him for ages. But I think it must have been for like 20 minutes, just trying to fight him. Like I was like, why is he not dying? I've been doing this for 20 minutes, and then I fell down, and then I read the thing. It was like, you need silver arrows.
Yeah, luckily I can't.
I was like, oh right, okay. No, I looked it up, and it was like, yeah, you get the silver arrows outside. I was like, oh shit.
I will say it's bollocks that in the middle of the fight, if you happen to run out of mana, you just can't.
You can't do anything.
Like you just can't play against the boss. That's not designed well. I don't think.
I hate the mana system in these old Zelda games. I really don't like it at all.
Alright,
so I want to say one more thing. Sorry, just before we wrangle them. Cause
go.
So we played the SNES version of the game. So in the GBA version of the game, there is another dungeon that we haven't played, and it's called the Four Swords Dungeon or something along those lines. So this is the version of the game that comes with four swords. So you beat Link to the Past, and then you beat Four Swords, and then someone in the Link to the Past game deems you worthy to enter the Four Swords Dungeon. Unfortunately, this completely breaks the canon. So we're not considering it canon anyway, so it's probably a good job we didn't play it. But yes, you play with the four swords in this dungeon. Just wanted to mention it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so back to ranking.
Yeah, I'm gonna rank it. So out of the ones we played so far, in order of which ones I think, because we played 5 so far, right?
Yes, it's number
Yes.
5.
So it's Ocarina of Time, then Skyward Sword,
Yep.
and then Minish Cap, and then this, and then Four Swords. And Four Swords is a stupid one because I said this to us the other day. It's basically not even a real game. It's just sort of an experience for like an hour. But yeah, like after talking about it a lot, there's just a lot of the pretty much every 2D Zelda game after this one just does what this game does, but better. Like everything about it is just better. So I find it very difficult to say that Minish Cap is worse than this. I was saying this to myself the other day when I was still playing it, but like when I think back to Minish Cap, literally just everything about it is just a much better experience than A Link to the Past. But Ocarina of Time is still by far the best one we've played out of all the ones so far. I'm interested for a game to get close to it or beat it. I was honestly thinking this one would be because of what the praise that this game gets. So I'm interested to see going forward if any of these 2D games are even going to come close to that level. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking so far.
Yeah,
It's the exact same.
Yeah, so well, mine starts with Four Swords, and then but no, seriously, no, it's exactly exactly.
You actually got me there for a second. I was really confused.
Exactly the same. I think for the mostly I think unless something like drastic happens, like Oracle or Link's Awakening or something, then we got it.
That's, I mean, it might be the greatest game of all time, Oracle of Seasons.
I will say that. This game, A Link to the Past, has been on my backlog for years now. I've always wanted to play it from start to finish, and I have left slightly disappointed because everyone loves this game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's certain there's a section of Zelda fans that says Link's Awakening is the best game ever.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a Zelda game for everyone. It's whatever your first Zelda game is, as we've said.
Yeah, no, with that, that is the theory. That is the theory. So, is there anything else anyone wants to say before I wrap this podcast up?
Let's decide right now for the viewers at home. How are we playing Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages? Right. No, we're deciding it for the people right here, right now.
Right. So, well, you two have decided that you're playing one each, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have time to play both. You need to just pick one.
I don't have time to play both.
Pick one.
I'll probably play the first one, but I'm going to look up a video to show how the ending changes if you do both.
Yeah.
Which I think is the fairest way to do it. So, which one was more puzzle based? I can't remember. Was it Ages?
Seasons.
Seasons
is puzzle based. Action is Ages.
Yeah, I think.
I thought it was the other way around. Yeah.
It could be the other way around.
It could be.
Either way, at least one of us will have played one of the games. But we are doing.
The next one's going to be a weird one, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a strange one. So I'll wrap it up because I was going to talk about this. So the next game we'll be playing for Hyrulean Chronicles is both Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Between us, we'll either be playing one or both of these games, and we'll collate our responses into one episode. Because there's no point in doing 2 episodes on them at all. They're too similar. So I'm not going to put a date on this because apparently life is just one long series of stress and obligations. But we'll try our best to do it within the month. We'll try our best. As I say, we are up against the wall on this one, but I wish Nintendo would just give us a date so we knew what our deadline was.
Yeah, it does make it more stressful, just having to guess that it's coming out March of next year, hopefully, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, there's just no clue at all. But anyway, I'm going to quickly run through the release schedule for July, as we've got a few videos coming out. So the 10th of July is going to be a tier list for all the mainline Mario games. On the 50, why are all my dates wrong? On the 15th of June is our discussion podcast.
June? Going back in time?
Honestly, these notes are all wrong. Okay, right, I'm trying my best. On the 15th of July, our discussion podcast, this month's topic is going to be the most overrated games. On the 20th of July, there's a tier list of the best cartoons to eat your morning cereal with. And on the 31st of July is going to be our video game book club review, and this month it is Prey. Hopefully before the end of the month, if not the beginning of next month, we will have the next episode of Hyrulean Chronicles out. But other than that, until next time, we shall see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.